preserve my youth. Not only did it capture my goals, it told me the truth.
Conversate for a few, cause it a few.
I let them know we missing you, the love is unconditional.
Wave your hands, what's the land if we family?
We got a world premiere right here, now get lost.
So off we go, let the trumpets blow. And hold on, because the driver of the mission is a pro.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Marv, and you are in tune to another episode of Conversate With Us. Remember, Conversate stands for communicate, converse, and relate. Go to our YouTube channel. Make sure you click that bell icon so you can be notified of upcoming episodes. And then make sure you go to our Facebook and Instagram and follow us there so you can see clips of the show, and make sure you tell a friend. So on today's show, I have a outstanding brother to come and talk about the Whistleblower Summit and Film Festival. His name is Michael McCray, and he is the managing director of the film festival. Mike, come on in, bro.
Marv, good to see you, brother.
Good to be seen, man. How are things going?
All is well, all is well. We're getting excited. We're getting ready to have the 14th edition of the Whistleblower Summit and Film Festival. It's less than 30 days away, and I'm here to share the good news.
Okay, so let's just start off with what constitutes a whistleblower, because I'm sure most people kind of have an idea of what a whistleblower is, but what is the concept of being a whistleblower, and how did that lead into creating a summit and a film festival to go along with it?
Okay, excellent question, Marv. Because the answer, it kind of flows a little bit. If you're in the national security arena, there's a very legalized and statutory definition of what a whistleblower is. And it relates to certain, of course, laws and statutes. However, we take a more general view, or a broader view, in the sense that anybody who reports laws, violations of law by the federal government or others, and it potentially is a whistleblower. You're basically alerting society that something's going on inside the government, inside corporations and whatnot. So typically, whistleblowing was kind of viewed as a public policy matter, where, I blow the whistle because I go to a slaughterhouse and there's pink slime in the meat. So I am saving society because of my reporting. But and that tends to lead to a, shall we kind of say, a kind of a white facade on whistleblowing, because it's generally that you're doing something else to protect the public. We when this event started, it was originally the Whistleblower Week in Washington, and it covered a full week, 5 days. But slowly, what happened is the civil rights community and the EEOC whistleblowers were kind of feeling, a little deterred, and so we wound up kind of fashioning what was then known as the Whistleblower Summit for Civil and Human Rights. And so what we wanted to do was look at it through a paradigm shift, so that look at it as a basic human and civil right to tell the truth, to stick up for yourself. So if I'm reporting somebody violating the law on me, I'm no worse it's not that I'm not a whistleblower because somebody else is more deserving than I. If the event impacts you or others, we consider you a whistleblower. And so we've kind of created a tribe in Washington, and that's really one of the main reasons that it exists, is to provide a sense of community. As a matter of fact, I tell people, I grew up in Palm Bluff, Arkansas. You just came down and visited us down here in the natural state. And I wound up going to school at Florida A&M, go Rattlers. I was in the School of Business and Industry, and I was training to become an investment banker. Lo and behold, so I go from there and I go to Georgetown Law and MBA in finance, because I was trying to go to Wall Street. But a funny thing happened on my way to Wall Street. My governor ran for president, and I got to work in the White House. So what I wound up doing the Clinton administration.
William Jefferson Clinton, for those who don't know.
Yeah, you got it. So what wound up happening is, when the tools that I was trying to use for corporate finance, I used in economic and community development. So it's the same laws. When you're putting deals together on Wall Street, it's the same deals that you're putting together, whether it's public finance or housing deals. It's the same training, it's the same model. So I was doing that. I found basically my dream job, because some people have heard that sometimes it can be kind of rough in Pine Bluff, but my passion was to try to redevelop communities just like mine. And I wound up in an uncomfortable situation when I discovered $40 million worth of fraud, waste, and abuse. And, basically people were stealing from poor people. And
Mm,
so, I'm not, man, I've been around the block a little bit. I understand, you know, $4,000.
right.
Sometimes stuff happens with $40,000.
Yeah.
You know,
Because
you can
somebody,
stretch it
whenever
to
somebody's stealing,
400.
they always get greedy, right? Like you
Yeah.
couldn't have been happy with just getting 4 grand. You had to just keep running it
That's,
up.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
At $40 million, man, I felt like somebody had to say something.
Right, right.
And ultimately, that kind of changed the course of my career. But one of the things that I did is I leaned into it, and I've become one of the leading public interest advocates in the space of First Amendment and whistleblowing. It's come out of this event. But so, make a long story short, I reported $40 million worth of fraud during the Clinton administration. It was actually some of the stuff that was tied to Michael Espy that he didn't get caught for. He got busted on 40,000, but they didn't know about the 40 million. But
Mm,
that's another story. You can read it in my book.
okay.
Uh, but lo and behold, so I became a whistleblower. And to make another long story short, rock bottom was the firm foundation that I rebuilt my life on. And part of what happened was, one, my father got me this book, Rick Warren's A Purpose Driven Life. And then two, I went to the first Washington Whistleblower Week in 2007. And it was life affirming because I'd found a sense of community, I'd found my tribe. And it really, if it didn't save my life, it definitely saved my sanity. And part of the ways that I started to give back was I wanted to continue, because it was so impactful for me. I wanted to continue the tradition. And so, but the one thing I did want to do was change it so to include Black people and civil rights. So that's how we had the Whistleblower Summit for Civil and Human Rights. And ultimately, we wound up rebranding to the Whistleblower Summit and Film Festival. And how that happened, Marvin, was that part of our programming is we get different advocates and policymakers, and we meet on Capitol Hill, and we talk about laws and the things that have affected us poorly. Sometimes we'd have lobby days where we go knock on different Congress people's offices and speak to them. Sometimes we'd have demonstrations. We stand, picket in front of the White House or USDA, that type of thing. But we'd always have a kind of a kickback event, which we used to call Movie Night with the Whistleblowers. And we go down to the local pub, we get a glass of Chardonnay and some beer and wine, and we watch All the President's Men or Aaron Brockovich, or
Yeah.
take your pick. We watch whistleblower movies, and it gave us a sense of feel good, and it was camaraderie. And what started to happen, Marvin, was that more people started to come to movie night than were actually participating in the policy stuff. And so we thought that, well, let's use this platform for good. So let's just not watch the feel good movies. Let's start to curate some documentaries and find movies that we think that people to push the advocacy. So the important films that we wanted to lift up and give this platform, because we literally are on Capitol Hill. We're in the Ryburn building. We're in the Hart building. We're in the Capitol building. We are on Capitol Hill. And so let's use this platform to push things that we think are important to say. And so then we started to curate the films, like I said, various documentaries, whether they're long, feature length or shorts. And then slowly what happened was filmmakers started coming to us and saying, hey, Mike, we want to screen at the summit. So then it was like, we got something here. So that's how we went and made the rebrand, became a full-fledged film festival. And that's how we got the Whistleblower Summit and Film Festival. And we're now in our 14th year.
Wow,
So that's kind of how we got here.
that's amazing. Because, when I think about a whistleblower, yes, it's about the people that, calling out, wrongdoings at their company, theft, malpractice, or what have you. I think the one that stands out to me the most is Frank Wells, the janitor,
Very good.
the custodian in DC who tipped off the Watergate investigation, right? He saw something miss. He called the police, and
He was actually a security guard.
so he was a security guard. Okay, my bad.
Mhm.
So he saw something amiss. He called the police, and what happened was Watergate. Nixon was
Right.
impeached. Everything that happened from that. But we know about that story, but we really didn't know. I'm talking about we, I'm talking about people like me,
Right.
didn't
Mhm.
know about this black man and
Mhm.
what he created by doing what he did. But we
Right.
also didn't know how it impacted his life afterwards. How he
Right.
was, many people believe he was blackballed and his life was severely impacted in a negative way because
Mhm.
of what he did.
Right.
So by having this conference, you are affirming people to stand up and do the right thing
Mhm.
and speak out when they see wrongdoings, right? Because it takes a lot of courage to be able to do that, right? Sometimes
Right.
you're like, man, I can't lose my job. I got wife and kids to take care of. I don't want to stand up for what's right. Let me just keep doing what I do and fly under the
Mhm.
radar. So, have you had many people that were involved in this film festival or in your summit that, hey, their life was really impacted negatively by having the courage to speak out and be a whistleblower?
Hey man, that's the price of admission, my brother. But let me back up for a second because you said a mouthful and a lot of wonderful things. One is right. Frank Wills was the original person that detected the Watergate break-in, which changed history. He was an African American. He basically went back to either Georgia or South Carolina and lived with his mother. His career was in shambles. We were the first to give a Frank Wills Award just for that reason. Um, and he was the security guard. There was also a woman from Arkansas, actually from Pine Bluff, my hometown. Her name was Martha Mitchell. She actually is the original whistleblower for Watergate. People, when you go see All the President's Men and they watch the movie and they see the guy deep throat in the trench coat in the shadows in the parking garage, they give credit to him. And he's, for the most part, that's part of the reason that why most people, when they think of whistleblowers, think of white men. Either they think of it's really from All the President's Men. And also, I guess, Ralph Nader, because he was one of the people that kind of invented the terms you may not remember, you probably remember from politics. You may not remember for him for auto safety. When he wrote a book called Unsafe at Any Speed. And basically he was blowing the whistle on the automotive industry.
I had no idea about that. I just thought he was, he ran for president and
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
Before,
created,
yeah, yeah,
it created a whole lot of issues and
yeah, yeah,
yeah. So yeah,
before he screwed it up, yeah,
right,
he was a good
right,
guy, right? Yeah, but so that is the face typically of whistleblowers, and so one of the things when we did the Civil and Human Rights, we intentionally give Frank Wills Awards every year, and we give Martha Mitchell Awards every year to show you that you can be a woman, you can be African American, that it's everybody. It truly is a universal thing. You have to have the freedom to be able to speak on wrongs that you see or wrongs that happen to you. It really is a human right, even beyond civil rights. So that's one of the reasons that kind of how we have the conference and how we keep these people's names alive and how we shepherd them through it. What we do is we name awards after people that we don't want you to forget.
right.
So that's I might have got a little bit off track, but
No,
that's
no,
kind
no,
of the
no,
flow.
no. That's what the point of this show is to educate people
Mhm.
about the contributions of Black men and women. So I'm glad that you not only corrected me, but gave accurate knowledge about what went down for sure.
Right. Mhm. And then so a lot of times people, even the word whistleblower, the way that we use it goes back to essentially the 70s. It's Watergate, it's unsafe at any speed. But the first actual whistleblower law was written on July 30th, 1778. Whistleblowing really is attached to the First Amendment, and I'll paraphrase it, but the law says it's the duty of every citizen to report to Congress government wrongdoing at their first convenience. So it is literally a part of the First Amendment. I tell people there's no free press without sources. There's no congressional oversight without informants. Whistleblowers are the fifth estate that protect freedom and liberty. And so that's why we have the summit. The summit is always the week of July 30th because we want to recognize the first whistleblower protection law even before there was the word whistleblower.
Okay. So do you only accept documentaries for the film festival, or is there any type of film that focuses on people that are calling out wrongdoings and basically being whistleblowers in their community or their industries?
Well, actually, Marvin, we're actually wider than that. We'll do any civil and human rights film. So again, our genesis, our foundation is civil and human rights. So we also include those. So we're actually a lot broader than a lot of people think. We will do documentaries, we'll do shorts, we do scripts, we'll do narratives because there may be a great whistleblower related movie that we think we like to elevate or it makes a statement. For instance, Participant Media came to us one year when they did. You remember the movie The Fifth Estate? It was about Julian Assange.
Mhm.
Well, they actually screened at the Whistleblower Summit. Now, interestingly enough, they didn't listen to us because the movie The Fifth Estate was being promoted as a whistleblower story, but Julian Assange is not a whistleblower. Julian Assange is the publisher. Bradley Manning or Chelsea Manning was the whistleblower. So we let them know, hey, there may be either a problem in your script or your marketing because you're marketing a whistleblower with a non-whistleblower as your main character. So it wound up, it fell a little bit flat, but studios come to us, not a lot of them, but they've come to us when Official Secrets was when they rolled that out. There was a movie about when it's a British movie, and it was about Blair, their president, their prime minister, when George Bush lied about lied about whatever war it was. But it came and we were part of their publicity run. So they came to the summit. We screened that movie at the National Press Club. It was a big deal. We've done Netflix movies or Brittany Kaiser. When the movie The Great Hack, if you may or may not remember that one, but that's a very important film to see. It talks about how the whole Cambridge Analytica deal, where people stole folks' Facebook profiles and literally hack your mind, and that they were actually running state-sponsored level psyops really on the Black community, on Americans. So that part of the reason that we're in this mess that we're in right now is because of that. And we had Brittany Kaiser, the whistleblower, came to the summit and talked about it. So we do studio films, we do documentaries, narrative, feature narratives. We'll do it all as long as it's kind of whistleblower related or civil and human rights related.
Okay. So this year, you said it's always the week of July 30th. Tell people about the schedule this year. When does the festival start? And, how can they find out where to go and see the different films that will be screened?
Okay. Well, one is you simply go to www.whistleblowersummit.com, whistleblowersummit.com. And that's the website. You'll find the schedule. The schedule should go live this week. I guess because I'm the managing director, I'm free. I feel free to announce that the standard is going to be I can't say premiere, but the standard will be accepted and will be screened at the summit this year. We are very pleased and proud of that. We're proud of your work, my brother. And we think that the standard will bring a lot to our festival. The live days of the festival, the hybrid films will run virtually from July 4th through August 2nd. We will have live events from July 7th through July 30th. So we have basically 4 days of live events, 10 days of films that'll be available on the website. So we're looking forward to it. And the standard is slated to kick off the week on that Monday, which is July 27th.
Okay. And for those who don't know, I produced and directed a documentary that talked about the story of the Black experience at the University of Missouri, Columbia, through the lens of my fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha. So what started off as a desire to document the history of my chapter at the University of Missouri ended up being a story that talked about the racism that Black American students encountered at the University of Missouri. So, Brother Mike is an attorney. He, knows about different cases, frontwards and backwards. So if you know Lloyd Gaines and the civil rights struggle to get him to be the first African-American student admitted into the school. He was an alpha man, and that happened at the University of Missouri. We have Justice Thurgood Marshall, Charles Hamilton Houston, Sidney P. Rebels, all these people, they were alpha men who were fighting for civil rights. And we go along through the timeline that talks about.
I didn't realize Hamilton was alpha.
Yeah, yeah. So
Bad,
yeah.
bad man right there.
So
Bad man.
so when we talk about the struggle for Black American students just to exist at the University of Missouri, we tell that story through this documentary, but it just happens to be through the lens of Alpha Phi Alpha. And it, we talk about the fights and the struggles, and then we end at the 2015 uprising that students have. So it's a really good documentary, and we're very, very proud to be a part of the Whistleblower Summit and Film Festival. So I much appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to being in attendance.
Yeah, yeah. Now, your film is the kind of film that we love, because the other piece is by the name. A lot of times people they'll view it as the individual, because at times, man, we'll get people that blow the whistle that come to the summit and they're like, "Hey, platform us. We want to tell our story." And it is like that, but it's not like that because you have whistleblower advocates and you have whistleblower advocates. And what the summit is about is really whistleblower advocacy. And so that's why we lean into, we like to see, like, most whistleblowers wind up with their lives destroyed, but some of them have gone through the part, again, have found it, placed a purpose to their pain and have pushed through and are doing something else. I don't say to redeem themselves, but they're doing something else.
Yeah.
And so a lot of whistleblowers get stuck. And again, it's not a group therapy session. We actually avoid that. But so anybody who is an advocate, that's either whistleblowers who are advocating for things or people who are advocating for whistleblowers, it's a platform for advocacy. And so when we look at what you guys are doing, and especially the tie-in to civil rights, but also D9, because we of course, I know the power of '06 and I know the power of D9, and having them embrace the summit, and we're hoping to build relationships like that, and for them to see it as a place for them to come to, is something that we're really looking forward to it. So we're actually excited to have the standard come screen there.
Now, we talk about the blowback and, the negative impact that being a whistleblower has on people who, call out injustices, call out wrongdoings. Have you all received any heat, any blowback for cultivating and creating this platform for people to be able to tell their stories on a bigger level, and to be able to show people, hey, listen, this is what's going on in my part of the world?
Well, whistleblowers always receive blowback, but part of what we do is we have to be kind of strategic. As the Bible say, be wise as serpents. So we won't do stupid things. So we have to also take into account the political winds. But we are, again, from my experience, I didn't tell you another piece. My partner, Marcel Reed, she co-founded the Whistleblower Summit with me. She blew the whistle on ACORN. And so when she did it, she came to the summit. She's like, "Mike, I need some help because I done took on a real fight." And so I kind of helped to advise her. And so there was a group of ACORN whistleblowers that were known as the ACORN 8. So actually, it's the ACORN 8 that actually is the host organization for the Whistleblower Summit. But so we are a little politically sophisticated. We're great organizers. And so, we just happened to organize the most unlikely community of all, which was whistleblowers. And so we've I feel like we've done it the best. We've definitely done it the longest. We're an award-winning festival. We do it differently from other people. So there's some groups that I kind of describe as the DC, Washington litigation complex, where they're the big NGOs that make lots of money off of, QTAM whistleblower claims, where, sometimes people get, $100 million. So they're the big law firms. We're more the grassroots community, the people that kind of do it almost because we have to, because we found our tribe. There's a sense of community. In that sense, it's actually therapeutic. But sorry, I wanted to back up. The other piece about the whistleblower advocates is every whistleblower has a story, and you're allowed to tell your story at the summit, but it's always within the context of what are you doing? What are you doing to move forward? What are you doing to make lives better? So it's kind of I've always been told by, preachers, you can talk about Jesus Christ being crucified, but you can't leave him on the cross. You got to get to the resurrection to tell the story. You got to get to resurrection, and so that's the piece that a lot of times a lot of people when they come to us because they're hurting, and we came hurting.
Yeah.
But it's not our platform isn't a therapy session. Our platform is empowering. Our platform is used to really to be the tip of the spear because there's a lot of things that happen. I've gotten a lot of information at the Whistleblower Summit about things that were trending 2 or 3 years later. We really, to part of what I pitch to the media is come get the news before it's news. You come to the Whistleblower Summit, there's people that tell it. I mean, because the whistleblowers literally are the canaries in the coal mine.
Right. And it's not an easy thing to do. I know that when I was putting this film together, the standard, I kind of questioned, should I be doing this? I knew that I wanted to document the history, of my chapter and the contributions that we had made to the university. But there really was no way of telling that story without talking about what we had to overcome and the wrongdoings of the university. So when I talked to the older brothers that we see in this film who actually lived through the original time, when they, started the chapter and, we talk about it in the film, a lot of the things that, they had to go through. I asked one of them, I said, should I be calling out the university in this way? And their response was, hell yeah, that's what you're supposed to be doing. So it was that affirmation that I got from them to have the courage to be able to speak out. And I think this.
But they're also from the movement, though.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
Part of it is a culture. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely they were.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And even though it's sort of, after the fact, this summit, this film festival, affirms those people to let them know that what they did was not in vain and it was worth it. And that there are people out there that recognize that sacrifice and want to uplift them and to be able to show others that, hey, listen, it is okay. It may not be easy. Like you said, it's not a therapy session, but what you did was the right thing. And there are a bunch of other people that recognize that, and we're going to help you tell your story.
Well, you just said something really powerful, man. Essentially, you said, I see you. Is that from the old heads and they see the young guns and young cats, they say, I see you. Do you know who Daniel Ellsberg was?
No, I don't.
All right, Daniel Ellsberg was the guy who was the whistleblower that dropped the Pentagon Papers. He blew the whistle on Nixon and the Vietnam War. Okay, a lot of times the Pentagon Papers and Watergate get intermixed, but they're actually two separate deals. Pentagon Papers, Jewish guy goes to the New York Times and they break. I mean, basically it was all the strategy and the memorandums that talked about how bad Vietnam actually was, how the president was lying to the public, became published, and they're known as the Pentagon Papers. Daniel Greenberg is pretty much known as the epitome. He's the godfather of whistleblowers. He's the old head. He passed away a few years ago. He supported the Whistleblower Summit, and he actually attended the summit. We've got a keynote speech from him. And one of the things that I always found that was so cool is that Ellsberg was a guy. If somebody blows a whistle on something and you sees it, it's getting hot, you could get a phone call from Daniel Ellsberg, and basically he's saying, "I see you. I know what you're going through. I know what you're about to go through." So it was again it's actually life affirming. That affirmation of being seen and being heard is so important. And again, that's part of what holds the community together.
Okay. So you mentioned that, hey, listen, that people can watch some of the films virtually. They can attend virtually and then also in person. So before we wrap up, again, tell people how they can, purchase tickets, how they can support. And even if they can't, attend, can they support the summit or the festival? Give people the information.
Absolutely. Well, everything's at www.whistleblowersummit.com, whistleblowersummit.com. You can go to the page is being updated for the new slate. The formal announcement for who the official selectees are for this year will go out tomorrow. Just kind of stay tuned. Everything will probably be really hot following the July 4th weekend. You can purchase tickets for a day or the week to watch all the films, all the content virtually. We have some historical from panel discussions that go back a couple of years. And if you happen to be in the Washington, if you're in the DMV, come on down to Capitol Hill. Our events are on the Hill directly. We're also at the National Press Club, and then we have some of the cultural events at Bus Boys and Poets. So be out. We'll see you there, and we're looking forward to seeing Big Marv in DC.
Man, hey, listen, man, Chocolate City. I mean, can we still call it Chocolate City? I'm gonna still call it Chocolate City. That's one of my favorite places to be, man. I always said I wanted to live there. So you don't have to twist my arm to get me, in the place to be. So
Hey, you should do a meetup.
we are.
Is it too late? Yeah, do a
No, no,
meetup.
no,
Yeah,
no,
do a
no.
meetup.
We listen. I got you, man. It's
Yeah.
in the works. We're gonna make that happen. We're gonna make that
Okay.
happen. So
Cool.
I'm just waiting for you to give me the final details, so we can get the people out. So,
Okay. All
man,
right.
Michael McCray, man, I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you taking the time to educate me on things. I think just the bit of jewels that you dropped on this conversation that we have right now. I know for me personally, I'm gonna go and do my research so I get more knowledge about what's going on. And I thank you for what you're doing because, like you said, we need people to have courage to stand up and to speak out. You know, that's something that our community has lost. When we talk about, hey, listen, and I don't want to go on too big of a tangent, but should the college football players, should they boycott, in the southern states? Back in the day, this wouldn't even have been a question. We're not living under the same times, the same tyranny that our ancestors lived under. Look at what Fannie Lou Hamer went through
Right. Right.
and how she spoke out against what was happening against her personally and against her people down in
Yeah,
Mississippi.
hey, we headed back, bro.
You know,
Y'all better you better dust off them history books.
you better dust out them history books. And we
It's
have
coming.
we have the most education, the most resources available to us, and scared to fight.
Well, what's happened now is we got more to lose.
That's it.
Before we was all in, because didn't nobody had that.
Right.
But now it's like, I gotta think about it. No, I don't know. I just check this
It-
good government job. I don't know. I can't really do.
And
You
you,
get
and
all
you,
that.
yeah, and you can't be scared, like, not to toot my own horn because I don't like to do that. But just this past weekend, I put on the inaugural Active Black Dad Leadership Conference
Mhm.
in my hometown of Topeka, Kansas. Now, Topeka is famous for Brown versus Board of Education, right?
Mhm.
And that was a culmination of multiple lawsuits across the country. But, the Brown case was the one that was highlighted. They happen to be family friends of mine. But when you look back at what they did, they came from a generation of where we all we got. So somebody's going to have to take that step forward and say, hey, listen, I'm going to put it on the line. So when Mr. Brown said, I'll be the one to go to that white school and try to get my daughter admitted. And when they turn my daughter down, I'll be the one to put my name on the case.
Yep.
There was many more that did that did the same thing, right? But that's that type of courageousness
Mhm.
that we need to get back to.
Hey,
We need,
Marvin, I got another nugget for you, brother.
Mhm.
Because Brown was, as you just said, it was companion cases. I think it was either 4 or 5 cases from around the country.
So the
But
actual case, you're the attorney, I'm not. But so there were 3 daughters. There was Linda Brown, who was the young lady that was the face, right? Then there was Terry, and then there was Cheryl. So Cheryl was the youngest daughter. Her son was my best friend in elementary school. So when she talks about it, the case says Brown et al.
Right.
And she says, we were the ones that were highlighted, but we also need to make sure that we talk about the et al. Because those people did just as much as we did.
Absolutely. And I think right now they are actually, I believe they're affiliated sites with with Topeka. So the National Park Service, while they're still there, are recognizing those. But one of those, part of the case to make the Brown versus Topeka Board of Education case, you had to have the factual evidence of the harm done to Black children. So that's where you get the dog test.
The
Yeah.
dogs. Yep.
Yep. So the Clark dog test. And the Clarks were the person who taught the Clarks, forgot his name, was from Pine Bluff, and he was the dean of psychology at Howard. So there's a Howard connection, it's a Pine Bluff connection.
Mhm.
Pine Bluff was one of the communities that they did the dog test in. Marvin.
Yeah.
The kids in Pine Bluff chose the black dog.
There you go.
Yeah, they had to hide that.
There you
So
go.
so there's a whole nother story to that. I'm saying, man, Palm Bluff's a real interesting place, but yeah, the history's so rich, and man, we can go on and on about the stuff. But the other part I know a person like you will enjoy. I don't know if you're gonna stay for the summer for the whole week or just get out after you do your screening, but the time at the National Press Club when there's a part of it, it's a dinner, it's the award ceremony, but you can get a tour of the National Press Club by a press club member. And that one's always a very fascinating evening. If you're somebody who's in the news, into journalism, if you happen to be a documentary filmmaker, that's one of the things that you if you can avoid it, don't miss that. So,
All right.
but I'll see you in a little bit, brother.
Yes, sir. So, hey, man. So, listen, make sure you go and support this film festival. They're doing awesome work. What's the website again?
www.whistleblowersummit.com.
And make sure you go to YouTube, Conversate With Us, click that bell icon. Make sure you go to our YouTube, click that bell icon so you can be notified of upcoming episodes. We're going to keep highlighting, events like this because it helps push the ball forward for our community. And like Brother McCray said, they're going to try to bring it back. They're trying to bring it back, and we have to, stand tall and and have that courageousness that our ancestors had to make sure that we don't go back. So that being said, Mike, I appreciate you, man. We'll holler at you next time. Peace.
All right. Yeah.